Okay, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Columbia Board of Selectmen to order on Tuesday, February 20th at 7 p.m. This is a hybrid public meeting. The public can attend. I appreciate you being here. Whether in person or electronically, the information provided in this agenda contains a link to the access. This meeting is both video and audio recorded. Board members and staff who are joining virtually. I don't think there's anybody, so we can skip that. If a member of the public, virtually or in person, is disruptive, they will be manually ejected from the meeting if they're online, or asked to leave by me if they're in attendance. So we ask that you be respectful. The board will be respectful. We'll be held accountable also. If you have something to say, please raise your hand. We'll call on you and include your name and your address, whether it's online or in the meeting itself. I ask once we go through, if it's not on the agenda and you want to speak to something, please make your comment when called upon. But if it's on the agenda, please hold your comments and we'll try and call on everybody. So, in saying that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. She's not on. Move on the agenda. I'll move to approve the agenda as written. Anybody, anything? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I move to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes for February 6th, 2024. Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Audience of citizens. Anybody have anything that's not on the agenda? Anybody in the chat, Mark?
No.
Thank you.
We did have some emails that came concerning tonight's agenda. I'll just read one from, it's from Margaret Waldron. Thank you for adding this to tonight's agenda. We'd like to mention the growing problem on Carswell Road regarding speeding. Carswell Road is very high volume. The speeding vehicles, both commercial and personal. We're aware of 3 accidents within the last 3 months. It's been becoming a nightly occurrence to witness tractor trailers going down the hill at 40, 44 miles an hour. Any assistance would be appreciated. And then you,
Is that on the same thing, the same issue?
right, or do you want to wait?
We'll wait on those.
Okay,
Anything outside of those?
no,
One thing that is signing in.
okay.
Okay, old business, 24-25 budget workshop. We had Bernadette. Bernadette is joining in now. Matt?
Any moment. You want to do public works first?
Sure. So we've asked Beth Lunt, our Director of Public Works here. Beth, want to go over some things that you're looking for here? What are we looking at?
Well, get past Bernadette and get to the next green tab, an old business. And then,
That's the red tab.
No, the green page.
Separator, that'll get to public works.
Okay.
Okay,
It'll be easiest if we start with transfer station. I don't have any capital requests, so it's just the operating budget. We have, a small increase in general supplies of $200, that's just basically inflation.
Okay.
The biggest increase is on the professional technical line, which includes our disposal of MSW, single stream of bulky, and rates have gone up respectively.
okay, it's under,
We don't
It's-
have
We
that.
don't have the operating.
we don't have operating, okay.
Okay, so you're asking for how much there? An increase of what?
An increase of 42,507.
And that's because of, we don't have it,
Increase
so
of single stream, MSW
Yeah,
and bulky.
there's nothing we can do
The
there.
contract expired, so those are the rates, and we checked with another vendor, and it's the best. price.
Now, but the gentleman who came in here did have some ideas how we could help ourselves a little bit. And we're gonna try and implement some more of those, correct? Like, I guess they're paying us back for cardboard or paying us for cardboard.
Or we can separate the cardboard, that's the biggest cost savings right now, because when the contract goes into effect July 1st, recycling actually will cost the town more than MSW to dispose of it. What's MSW? Just
Household-
regular household
Household
trash.
goods. But
And it's just because the market for recyclables right now is down.
Send her the agenda.
So our
But isn't that-
biggest.
it's kind of ridiculous, and that's my issue with them. Is we'll recycle cardboard, but we won't recycle anything else because it costs us less, but whatever, that's editorial.
There's a plant in Connecticut that opened up in Connecticut that's doing glass and processing glass to put in. Is there any way to separate, it? Get people to separate out glass? And
We could look into that. As of right now, I don't know that they're accepting additional streams.
Okay.
That there really isn't a market for glass.
well, they're using it in asphalt. They're using it as an additive. There's a plant that opened up just last year. So I didn't have the business term.
No, I know it's happening, but it's it can be used in parking lots, it can't be used on the streets, so there's a limited market
Gotcha.
for it.
Okay,
That's pretty much all with the transfer station, unless you have any questions.
no, I don't.
I think it'll be easiest to start with the operating budget for public works. And we'll go through the increases are very small general supplies. I asked for an increase.
We don't have an operating budget, so just verbally describe it to them, because they don't, unless they kept theirs from last week.
I'm printing some up.
We're printing some right now.
Okay,
It's pretty straightforward. I'm holding pretty much all of last year except for a 1,900 increase in general supplies. Again, that's just the inflation cost of things going up. Contracted services are going up 8,600. And the repair and maintenance line is 1,300.
can you tell us why the costs are going up? Just give us a narrative and so we can understand.
The repair and maintenance line, every year, the cost of salt goes up, so that incorporates that. As well as a few, smaller items that we need a new compactor. And also. Compactor and a new demo saw, so. That's the additional increase in that.
Right.
Contracted services going up, cost of catch basin, cleaning, line striping, everything has increased here. And getting goods.
Okay,
And that's it as far as the operating budget. The other thing I would like to address the board, I really would like to put in for increasing our staff level at Public Works. Currently, we have a staff of 5. During the summer months, not even the summer now, it starts as early as April and goes through the end of October. One of our staff members is full-time at the park. Whether it's mowing or prepping playing fields or preparing for concerts, what have you, they are tied up constantly. So then we're down to a staff of 4. Usually during the months of June through September, we have someone on the farm mower, the boom mower, doing roadside mowing. That's 1 person every day of the week for those months. So then we're down to a 3. So with vacations, I'm lucky if I have 2 people that we can do projects around town. That include drainage, swale maintenance, that type of thing that has been pushed off. We'll piecemeal and do the worst case scenario. It seems like all we're able to accomplish is putting out fires. So if something has gotten so bad that then there's a walkout of a road and then we repair. Having an extra staff member would allow us to get ahead of the game and not always just repair as it's completely failed. So that's something I would like to consider.
Okay, the other thing I want to add, and I'm in favor of it, to be honest with you, I know all that you do. I know all that I'm asking you to do. It's a lot. I get it and I appreciate it. We have a lot of road work, a lot of culverts, a lot of swales to take care of. We're adding the stress, we're adding the job requirement that the Department of Public Works is asked to do, and it's insurmountable with the amount of people. But the other thing was this last storm, and we brought on Brian, correct? We brought on Brian.
Yes,
Yes, Brian is, I don't want to say gifted, he's knowledgeable as a mechanic, is that correct?
that is his main career,
Okay.
was being a mechanic.
So this last snowstorm we had 3 trucks actually go down, limited ability, there was breakage in 3 trucks. We have enough plow drivers for the plows that we have no extra, if somebody's sick or hurt or out, they can't take vacation in the wintertime, we have nobody. All right, in the addition to that, during a storm, if trucks break, we have no additional trucks, they have to be fixed. This time, other people had to do their routes and work toward the other truck routes that we didn't have the trucks, correct?
Correct, we had 3 trucks go down in the
Right.
last storm.
So if we have Brian back at the maintenance facility, working on vehicles, trying to get them back on the road. I just think we're at a point where our fleet is older. It needs more care, a mechanic, a designated mechanic. And he doesn't have to be in there all the time, but the amount of personnel. And it's helped paid for by taking the part-time person off the summer and putting that into a full-time position. Is that correct? Okay,
We've been having
We
trouble
had Trouble finding
part-time.
part-time help that will either work or stay employed with us. They'll work a few weeks, quit, and then we're looking for a replacement, and by then most.
Do you have seasonal employees in the summertime?
Well, we have tried to hire 2 seasonal employees in the past 2 years. I think we've gotten 2 applications. One, usually is so underqualified, you couldn't even do more. And the other one might last a few weeks and then they quit. It doesn't seem like you're getting college kids that want to come back and mow grass and weed whack and that sort of thing. They don't want to do manual labor. It's harder and harder to find.
what's the cost on that? What will it cost us, put another person on full-time?
Well, it's 60,000 around plus benefits,
And what was the cost of the 2 part-times if we had employed, what were they budgeted?
by 20.
20,000.
20,000,
each.
no, total.
Any questions while Beth is here?
Well, we have more to go
Additional
over.
questions?
We have more to go over.
Yeah, but for this.
Oh, for this, yeah. And the capital will be in the binder.
I don't know what order yours is in, but we'll start with culvert replacement repair.
Yep.
So because the town approved $250,000 in the town meeting, I believe it was last month, to do engineering on two of the culvert projects that are in dire need. This year, I'm not asking for engineering services. So what you have is just a projected out, so that you can see the next 2 years, and then also what I believe we'll have to bond for in the future. If you want to look, and then
$9.45 million.
Yeah, round it up 10.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that when. But okay, so
And just the challenge, we might be able to, Bev and I were talking about using some other sources to move some of that engineering up sooner to get it engineered like LOSIP or,
With LOSIP though, you still have to budget for it. If you don't budget into capital, it's not reimbursable.
Okay.
You would still have to do that.
and the challenge is, can we go to bond with estimates on the road and drainage repair, or do we need actual engineered estimates?
right, and there might be other funding options. I know that hazard mitigation could possibly cover a portion of Pine and Thompson, but until those are engineered, you can't even submit to FEMA for any type of funding.
But we
That's
are
why we've already started the engineering.
on the worst case, which is Pine, Thompson, and then Doubleday.
How did these projects come to light just because of the recent weather problems, or is this something that's been an ongoing issue?
Well, we've known about all of them other than Doubleday Road. That has come to light because of the recent events.
Okay.
But basically, we've discovered that the metal pipes that are in place are rotting prematurely. And then with these heavy rains, the material underneath the pipes are getting washed away, and then the road is just collapsing.
I was overwhelmed with the last meeting when we got to the issue as far as Doubleday Road, because in all my years on the board, I have never heard anything about an issue with that, or for that matter, any of the other, to this extent, cost. I mean, over the years, you haven't heard anything about it. I'm just curious. And I'm not suggesting that it's on your watch, because it goes back a number of years for all these problems, but what's bringing me to light right now, where we weren't able to address it earlier.
Well, we had other culverts that were being replaced, so we were told to kind of hold off and space them out. But then Mark asked, put them all down.
Well, the difference
And
is,
Pine and Thompson, I've been here for years, and both of those roads have washed out. Once, Pine Street 3 times, Thompson Hill twice, that we're losing a quarter of the roads each time. And each rain event just is more intense. So we haven't had the intensity. I've been a public works director for 15 years now. And I would say the past 3 years, the intensity of the storms. It's unheard of to get 4 inches of rain in 8 hours, and it's happened 3 times since November. It's just.
these, so it kind of piggyback on your question, to help with that. We went out and took a look at 6, 7, 8 of these, and 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, they were handling the amount of water well, there was no problem with it. In the last 2 years, especially this last year, the rush of the water, the force behind it has broken through the front walls on, the diversion walls funneling the water to the front of the culverts.
Yeah, and the head wall.
And it cannot, the piping that we have under them cannot take the volume of the water. That's why the water's been lifting and rushing over the roads, washing out the roads. These are projections here. Without engineering, we don't know if there's other types of answers to this. I'm not asking us to bond it tonight, that type of thing, but to your question. I've had other engineers, people who live in town have offered to take a look at, they called me up and they said, listen, we see what's going on. We'd like to, I give you some guidance, show it to you, work with Beth. It's not that I don't trust Beth and her experience. We're gonna have to spend thousands, $250,000 in engineering if they want to give us their views at no cost.
You need a committee.
Do I need a committee? I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, because it's gonna get complicated. It'll get complicated with the bonding,
Right.
because I don't know how, these projects take 4 or 5 years to
Not-
complete.
And there may be other answers, like another. I'm just,
I'm just trying to understand, there's something, all this work is something that has to be contracted out. It's something that we can do internally.
that's, no. We
No,
will,
we
we
can't
will,
do this internally.
You can't do any of that internally?
We don't have the staff.
Or the-
Equipment to do this side.
Equipment large enough to put in pipes that big, or 2 of them will be full box culverts, like Hunt Road.
I shouldn't say that. We could do the old Romantic Road most likely, and we could do Chesborough in-house.
Right.
But that's if we have them in,
right,
just like we could have done the work on Whitney Road if I had a full crew, and we hadn't solved that.
And we did Aridoni on our own. Before this, we've been trying to never do more than we could save for.
So if it's a in-kind replacement, that's something that we can tackle, but a lot of these
Are
are
undersized.
undersized.
but
and have to be.
I have a question. Like on, was it west, Pine Street? Now, Pine Street has had a problem. The culvert is, in the last year, has been too small to handle the amount of water. Could we not do another side by side? Which could take and divert it to the same, the same path as the first one. Just kind of marry up with a twin type of thing to handle that amount of water without having to replace the whole thing.
That's something that hydraulically they have to check. The 2 pipes right now are not sufficient. So whether you do 3, I'm not sure.
All right.
That's something that the engineer is gonna do a cost benefit analysis to
Right.
go with a box culvert and you.
Okay, that's
You
fine.
go
So
with
there may be other ways to do things. The rains that we've had, and I say this and whatever, they're like biblical type of rains. I mean, we've got 8 inches of snow and then 4 inches of rain comes on top of it. And Route 8, I drive by on Route 87, I look to my left and the waters that are coming down out of that, through that culvert, flooding the old Zegna Farm fields out there. I look at that and it's amazing that the street doesn't wash out, but it doesn't. These are rains that are ridiculous. Now, will they happen? Maybe they continue to happen. There are some other ideas. We're not rushing to bond this right now. I wanna look at some other things. But if they can do with a full crew, Old Willimantic and Chesborough, that's part of the stuff that, comes out of the bond, but it's not a lot, but it's part of it. So there are some answers before we go to the board and say, this is what we need to do. So,
Right, because there are other culverts not on that list that we're gonna do in-house. It's not that we.
yeah, you're not sitting by Just,
No, we replaced 4 last summer, but they're smaller scale.
Yeah.
And you can do
Steve
them.
talks about cost benefit analysis. I think, I just wonder whether the personnel or what the personnel and the equipment would be to do this kind of work. Or whether it's something that you can rent and do this kind of work on a short-term basis. I don't know. I have no
And
expertise.
it's not like the Pine Street, and the Egerton. You're looking at projects like the Hunt Road project, that's taking a contractor with this specialized equipment, 2 months to do. We just don't have the personnel. We have to plow, we have to
Understand.
do everything else. We can't dedicate the crew solely
Okay.
to a 2-month, 3-month project.
But like Aridoni, we rented a bigger backhoe and we actually did that ourselves and put all the new cement on top of the cement pipe and it came out great.
Yeah.
So we saved a ton of money on that.
Chris,
So. I guess what I would be interested in seeing, and maybe your group's already done this, and you have a longer list, like I said, there's other culverts that are on here, and I mean, are there other double bay roads out there that don't have a culvert that are just potentially looming that were designed 50+ years ago with the metal piping? I mean, I think it'd be prudent for us to, at some point in time, do a study of all of that, so we can know all of the roads out there and have that as part of our plan to figure out, what's the priority, what's. So if we do end up going to bond, if we bond a little more, but yet we have all these other projects, so we don't have other surprises. Because I mean, it's
It's a
a
surprise, that if we could, I mean, obviously, it's been a crazy time with the weather, but it's a surprise that no kill us.
Yeah.
The thing, with a corrugated metal pipe, the lifespan is 50 years.
So we should have records out there that show other roads that were probably done within the last 50+ X years, so we can, and maybe a list already exists, I'm just throwing it out there. It would probably be prudent for us to look at all of the roads that are potentially, culverts as well as roads that just have that corrugated piping, so we can, totally assess.
Correct, and
prioritize.
it's something that in a different situation. The pipes on, let's say Doubleday, they were in place on a drier, higher, doesn't get the flows that Doubleday did. Something that, it's horrible to say, but something that is compromised could last another 10-15 years. It's so site specific.
No, I agree, but it would be good to have it on a list, and that
There'd
would
be
kind of like
no
we're doing
reason to-
with the fire department, where you're amortizing over 20 years, and you have a long laundry list of everything.
yeah, I understand, and, we took one road trip on a Friday. We looked at 8 that we knew were trouble. We'll ask Beth to take a look and, once she gets everything up and situated with whatever, her work the week or the month or something like that. We will ask Beth to get out there on the road and take a look at some of these things, so.
Are there any other, I know you said the Doubleday had the pipes under all along the road. Are there any others in town like that? Just wondering why Doubleday gets a lot of water. over there.
It's a swamp, isn't it?
Is a swamp Doubleday?
It is.
Very
But
wet.
It's like Hennepin, I mean, it is so saturated, and it's not even so much the water. If you go out there in the middle of a rain event, it's not even the water generated from our paved surface of the road. You got streams coming in off of people's properties. They're full streams that are discharging onto the road.
We've seen driveways
They're gone.
eroded down to, 6 inches of gravel top gone, down to rocks, stable rocks trying to, as an underlayment for their driveway, so,
Gotta fix it.
well. Unfortunately, the homeowners are fixing those, we're not fixing those, it's not our stuff, but, okay, next. And then the good news.
The next one I have is road resurfacing.
Yep.
In here is the engineering for the Doubleday road drainage. 100,000 for rubberized chip seal. 15,000 for a road grading inventory. Then close to 15,000 for the painting of our yellow lines and 20,000 for crack sealing and minor things.
Okay, this rubberized chip seal that we didn't use this
Because it
year,
rained all
Yeah.
that.
are we, does that go back to the general fund?
Well, not yet. If we don't, we still have spring to use it. In the beginning of summer, up till June
Well,
30th.
it's in capital, it doesn't go back to the general fund, it
Okay.
stays there,
But it
unless you take
stays
it out.
All right, well. Okay. Um,
But we wouldn't, if we didn't use it, you wouldn't put another 100,000 in. That's my point.
right. And we're already taking 190 away off of last year's capital to this year. Right, yeah, okay. All right. Next,
Hazardous tree removal. The request in the previous years is 100,000, we're dropping that to 75,000. We're continually
It's
removing
the last one.
dead ash and oak trees, but I feel like we're getting ahead of the game. We're
okay,
gonna stop at reducing. One, the dam mitigation and repair, requesting 5,000 every year to just stay on top of any maintenance that might be. From the DPW capital equipment. We're asking for the purchase of a new to the dump truck, a new plow for the F-550, a new sander for the F-550, and a full-size plow replacement. And as part of this, if it's something that the board would entertain, it has taken us
It's the first page, if you go to the first page of capital. What best been review is this, Stephen?
in April of 2022 to buy a 6-wheel dump truck. As of right now, we still have not received it, and they're projecting that we'll have it this October. And that'll replace the 1999 International. So with this request for this upcoming budget year, if it would be possible to initiate the purchase and start that process, because it looks like it'll be a full year to get a truck, and that would replace a 2010. Right now, we are limping these trucks along, and the cost of repairs to keep them going is escalating. I think this might be the first year that I'm gonna have to ask for additional money in that repair line, because we're getting close.
how's the 214 and the 217 trucks? 2014 and
Yeah,
2017?
there. We had to put all new brakes, it's just something constantly repairing.
Would we put a transmission in?
That was the Chevy. That was the foreman truck to just. That he drives around to evaluate the town, not that we plow with,
The Silverado, the 2015?
correct? And so right now, we're without any spare trucks. This last storm, we had to put a plow on that F-350. And plow with that and have other trucks. Sand those routes.
So you want us to issue the PO now for the truck that's on the
24-25 budget request.
So you'd get an extra 4 months in the.
how does that
1
affect
year.
us? We're just issuing the PO, we're not writing it, how does it affect us?
As long as they're not asking for a deposit, I guess you can place the order.
They don't actually deposit.
Anybody have a problem with that?
No,
Okay, so
it takes too long, they're gonna.
issue it, okay, so issue it, the PO.
Okay.
Do you need a motion for an audit on that?
I'll make a motion, we allow Elizabeth Blunt, Director of Public Works, to issue a PO for the new dump truck
It'll be a freight liner.
to be purchased in 2024 or 5. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay. I see you're replacing the plow, the trip plow and the sander for the 550, and is that the one we're gonna be replacing?
No, the 550 right now, we have a
Oh,
plow.
that's the Chief 17,
We've
2017.
had to weld the frame a number of times, so. We're on borrowed time.
Okay.
And that's something when we do replace the vehicle, the plow. can
Move on. Okay.
go. That's all that I have. If anyone has any questions.
So, just so Chris, you had a question about evaluating the drainage and the roads that have the stuff underneath it. This is not that, but that talked to me about the Beta Group road rating inventory. Did she talk to you guys about it? $15,000. Basically, it is an inventory. Group comes in and inventories all our roads and tells us timelines on what needs to be paved and correct?
Right now, we don't have, a good inventory. We have a basic line mileage, but this company will come in. They'll measure every road, they'll evaluate the pavement surface. They have a computer that scans the road as they drive it. We work together, and it's basically giving the town an overall picture of the rating of the roads. So whether you do crack sealing here to extend the life and how to maximize the money that we do spend on roads.
So
The best
careful what you
treatment
wish
and the
for.
best location. It just really gives you more of an understanding of the overall.
Right, but they're not gonna necessarily know that.
That's not
No,
training.
I'm
Drainage.
This is the
It's not
driving
exactly what you were
process.
asking about, but what I'm saying
But
is we're
you
taking
can
initiative to be
That
able to.
database, we can put
Right.
in the catch basins as we learn.
Yeah, so
and
we're,
raise them.
we're learning
It's
to
something
do
to build
things a
on.
little bit smarter, that's all.
Because like you said, I shouldn't say but there are very few records. When I came into this, it's handwritten notes, it's. The newer subdivisions, yes, we have records, but a lot of the old roads, just like in any other town, there's.
All we can do move forward is have a great inventory and,
Yeah.
you know, have it where it's
Any other,
better names.
yeah, any other
So
questions?
they would look at the roads and kind of assess when it needs to be repaired and routes.
Correct, they would give their recommendation and pair it up. There are so many different, pavement streets that you can use that would have to on those. And so they would help you now.
I have a question. From the. Well, we added on all the stuff at Red Park. More fields, pavilion. So prior to that, have we added personnel at DPW? So we haven't added anybody in a long time.
No, we have
No.
not.
Yes,
So it does take a lot to do.
It's-
take care of
it's
it,
double the size.
Right.
More, yeah,
What, you
Yeah.
know, when you add the roadway in, you know, everything is kind of double the size, but
Yeah.
I would think.
And we still maintain the school properties, the cemetery here.
And the
now
firehouse.
Firehouse.
Mm.
It just keeps expanding.
And like that, fine.
We do stuff, they want us to do more and more.
we're finding it.
We put a road in for the Hop River.
Those Zegdas.
We're asking anybody with the name of Zegda.
I think it'd be a good retirement job.
What's your?
We'll even get him a mower.
It'll be a 12-inch push, but it's a mower.
I didn't think we had. No, it's just-
No, we have not. Okay, anything else, Beth? Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Beth, you're doing a good, listen, I talked to the guys, everybody down there. They're being treated well. They like working for the town, even the new guys are, I've talked to them and they're doing well and they're doing a good job down there. Unfortunately, you came in on a town that had roads and stuff with 50-year life in the year 60. So you probably should have,
It's on.
but,
We're
but,
fixing it the best we can.
I know you are, and I appreciate it, and we appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your job.
Now we have Bernadette.
Let's get ready to roll. Bernadette, how are you?
Hi, everybody.
I've met with Bernadette on a couple of occasions and, all right. How we doing?
We're great. We are growing. So I know that the Board of Selectmen, had questions in regards to WRTD and their clients served and usage statistics, etc. So I did provide you with a report talking about the WRTD statistics. So it looks like in year of 22.
And that's in the back of the first screen tab of the whole business. And in the very back is WRTD statistical analysis.
So it looks like there was 206 rides with 20 riders. And then moving into this year, from July 1 of 2023 until basically until February, so we have about 5 months to go, we have 192 rides with 10 riders. So this is all using the municipal grant program as well. We did 2 wellness trips and 1 client going to a medical appointment, which was a total cost of $3,864 through the grant.
So Bernadette, that means we were reimbursed the $3,864 from the grant.
It was just used out of our portion of the municipal grant.
Okay.
That through WRTD that we receive. I believe it's through. Is it CROG? It is the municipal grant program for out of region rides. So
Okay.
any ride that is going out of the Wyndham region, if you needed to go to Hebron or Vernon, Hartford, the WRTD offers the municipal grant program to allow most likely their ACE taxi to bring them to their appointments, or I may use the municipal grant program for wellness rides to take a larger group of seniors to an event renting out a coach or smaller van.
Okay, so that's money we get grant, so we get it back? Because we pay what,
We
$9,000?
pay $9,800
Right,
to
Right,
be,
and
see, so
Um,
what's the street that I don't understand.
it's out of, I believe we receive about $14,000. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me as a whole for the town of Columbia for out of region rides. And we so far have only used the $3,864 of those funds that are available to us. And if we don't use them, they are then allocated to other towns who would then be in need of them.
Well, we don't get a check. We actually just have credit with that type of
Just
thing.
credit. Yes,
So
no
we
check.
Right, so we've used $3,864 of our credit.
It's a
So,
pool of money.
huh?
I think it's like, I don't know if it's state of Connecticut, it's a pool of money for the municipal grant program. So they divvy it out, saying, okay, Columbia gets this amount, this town gets this amount, this town gets this amount.
Yeah.
So if we don't use it all, they'll divvy it up to the other towns who might need the funds. We don't get the money at all. If
Yeah, we
they-
don't, the money never really crosses hands. We just, our
It's
credit
a service.
Yes.
gets
It's a
put back
service.
to the.
The state's funding, yeah.
Thank you.
Correct.
Well, how do we use more of it?
Yeah.
And not
Uh,
use
Well, the money can go really quickly. So say we had someone going to dialysis 3 times a week to Middletown.
Yeah.
That money would be used, we would probably use it in about 2.5 months time. It would be gone. We wouldn't have any money left over. And that person would then have to use the Columbia Transportation Program, which can oftentimes be difficult if we're going into Middletown 3 times a week, which can take away from our local ridership. So this,
What, you sit the driver there for 4 hours, 6 hours until it's done, and then they drive him back?
Or do they come back?
it
You could.
my Columbia driver would not stay. Most likely, we would have to come back to take care of some of our more local riders and then go back and get them 4 hours later. However, the WRTD, they would probably use a third party like Ace Taxi that would then take them out, and they would have to call them when they were ready for pickup, and it could take about 2 hours to be picked up from there.
Yeah, but we have $11,000 left over, so we haven't used all that.
But what Bernadette's saying is 2 people on dialysis and you'll burn through that in months.
Okay, let's burn through it then.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want people on dialysis, but if
understand.
it happens, we have contingencies for it.
Not to worry, I do plan on using it, but I
Okay.
do like to give it a little bit of time to make sure that our residents are able to get to out of region rides should they need to.
But you could
Um,
do trips with it too, right, Bernadette? You could do
I-
wellness
and
trips.
Correct, and I have a trip to Brimfield coming up in May that will eat up about $1,200 of that. And we have other plans moving forward before June to use it for more wellness trips should it not be used for medical.
Okay.
So we will, and every year we generally use all of those funds.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions in regards to WRTD?
No,
As you can see from the last page, it talks about what our Columbia Transportation Program is doing. So, so far from July to the middle of February, we've had 1,048 rides, and that's 85 riders. So if you look for,
let me ask you, is that 85 different riders, and could somebody take a ride a week?
those are unduplicated riders. So we're serving 85 residents.
Okay,
So for an example, there was one person who went for car maintenance 5 times. There was
Okay.
7 people who took rides for 84 errands.
one person went for car maintenance 5 times. You need a different car, huh? Okay.
That's
So that's how that one is reading.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
so one week instead of a ride then?
Yes,
Okay.
they're still waiting, yeah.
Hopefully
Well, how do you get a,
We get 5.
how do you buy?
he drove his vehicle home on the last one.
Well, last minute,
They got their own car.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, I was looking at that funeral trip, we had one person
Oh,
too, so I didn't know if it was.
You know, if they had one person going for one ride, you gotta wonder whose funeral it was. Never mind. Okay,
Bernadette, what was your total, rides and riders last year? Do you have that at all?
I do not have that. I can give that to you. I can send that to Jen tomorrow, first thing.
Because It didn't used to be this high, it's really grown, right, if I'm not mistaken?
I have a hard time hearing you.
Really growing, because it didn't used to be this high.
Oh, no, it is definitely growing for sure.
Well,
As any successful program would do.
how many family members who, I don't have to leave work today because mom can get a ride to her doctor's appointment from the town. Or dad can do this, or this can, it's what it's there for, you know?
Right,
That's cool.
absolutely. So with that said, um, it has been brought to my attention that many times the large 14-passenger van is seen on the road with maybe one or two people on it. And our van moving forward is going to be used almost on a weekly basis to bring 14 residents to various events. Either we're going to the Norwich Tech lunches, the Wyndham Tech lunches, other day outings. It would be able to be freed up should I have a minivan that is handicap accessible, that I would be able to load someone in a wheelchair and not have them bouncing around in an empty 14-passenger vehicle. So we just recently had a gentleman named Mario with Mobility Works come out and bring out a 2024 Toyota Sienna. It's a Braun Ability. It's an ADA compliant rear entry minivan. I've shown, there was pictures in it, I believe, from the last Board of Selectmen meeting, as well as in this packet that I've given Jen to add to your packets there. It shows you pictures on the back page of what it really looks like. What this will allow is for someone in a wheelchair to enter the rear. You'll also have 3 seats in the second row, and then you have your driver and your passenger. So now we're able to take someone and their caretaker to a medical appointment more easily and far more fuel efficient. So this is a hybrid. You're going to get about 50 to 60 miles to the gallon. They are stating that most likely we wouldn't even have to fill up, but maybe once a month. Clearly, depending on how much usage, but I'm expecting to fill up approximately once a month.
Now, Bernadette, you had mentioned too that seniors in the big van, the
Yes,
minibus, when they're in a wheelchair in the very back, they get motion sickness and they get bounced around because they're basically on the back axle.
correct.
So
Yes, it is.
it's not a comfortable ride to an appointment.
It really is not. What it's really meant for is to have the vehicle full of our residents. So if we had 14 passengers on it, someone in a wheelchair in the rear will not bounce nearly as much as they would if they're the only one in the vehicle.
Okay.
So this will definitely eliminate many of those complaints that are coming in.
So tell me how you hope to pay for this vehicle.
Okay, so that'll be through the Section 5310 grant, which is how we received our original van. So this is federally funded. They pay 80%. The town has a local match of 20%. So the vehicle we are looking at is approximately 67,000. And the local match for us would bring us to approximately $13,321, an estimated price. Mario was kind enough to give us on the third page in is a quote for this vehicle, which comes to the $66,605 on delivery. So the grant, the 5310 grant is open for traditional grants, which would cover the cost, the 80% of the cost of the vehicle. But also the traditional capital grant will also help pay for many other, like our software programs, the My Senior Center, how we use to track our ridership and even mapping out the rides for the day. It is approximately $1,200 a year. So therefore, the cost of the town would then go down to $240. Also, this grant provides a non-traditional capital grant to cover the cost of pedestrian signals and lights. I was hoping to put, we have some riders that come through our parking lot of our senior center and they whip through there. And we've had really too many close calls. So this grant could possibly put maybe 1 or 2 speed bumps in, or put in some proper signage that would display to slow down. I know some of these can be minimal costs, but it would cover majority of that. Then we have the non-traditional operating grant, which can help to cover 80% of the salaries, as well as the annual and biannual physicals for our drivers. This grant has just come, it just opened up on the 9th of February, and it is due April 2nd, I believe. Yes, April 2nd. So we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm like to bring this to your attention to see if this is something I can start applying for.
WRTV has a handicap accessible van. Does that, I mean, that it wouldn't be sufficient to, for the town? When, don't, I mean, has that, I'm sure they've used it for, to take people in wheelchairs to doctor's appointments and different things. Is that,
Yes.
is that different? Because we've got a lot of money left to pay for that.
Maybe I'm really not understanding that question. Is it a lot of money to pay for?
We've got $11,000 left to pay for, to use what we were saying before. There's $11,000 left in the municipal grant program to pay for rides
That is for out of region rides, and
out of region.
that is not to purchase a vehicle or anything of that nature. It is really just for ridership outside of the region.
Yeah, I understand that, but doesn't WRTD provide that service? I mean, I guess I'm questioning, do we need to have a van? Has it been a problem to get people to appointments and utilize WRTD for that?
Well, our riders that are wheelchair bound are complaining that being transported in a 14-passenger van is becoming, it just does not working for them.
Doesn't have a smaller van either?
No, I believe the smallest van that WRTD has is a 12 or 14 passenger. They, last I knew, they didn't have anything smaller than that.
Thank you. What's your thoughts on this, Chris?
I mean, what's the likelihood of us getting a grant? I mean,
That's correct. What's the likelihood of getting a grant for that? We don't have to buy it. Grant.
Highly likely to receive the grant. Our the percentage of seniors in the town of Columbia is much higher than majority of the towns in the state of Connecticut. So they are definitely going to
We're
applaud.
number one. Yeah, okay.
so didn't we recently buy another van a couple years ago?
But we bought an SUV and it was probably 5 years ago because it's paid for.
It is
It was-
paid for.
Ford Escape.
Do we still get the advertising for that?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And we could potentially use this for some of the smaller volume routes as well.
We do that, we do that, yeah.
Instead of the.
Instead of the big van.
But it's,
Can-
do we trade in the other one? You know what I mean?
What?
Do we trade in the SUV for this one?
No,
No.
No, they want the flexibility of running two vehicles.
Our EV power stations will be able to
no, this is a hybrid, which
Hybrid.
means it generates its own.
When you
I
start?
had a hybrid and I got 46 to the gallon, so 50, no, sorry.
That's how it's advertised.
Yeah,
And this
nobody
one-
ever would
It looks
advertise.
like you couldn't accommodate other people in it, just for him, just for somebody.
No,
No, it has a.
it has a.
I did have a question, if you don't have a handicap, wheelchair bound rider, does it have the ability to put 2 seats in the back?
Yes, yes, they fold up out of the way.
Okay, great, thank you.
So you can run, if you have a wheelchair in the back, you can run 4 other people and the driver, if I'm, am I right?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So this could allow for both of my drivers to be out on the at the same time going in 2 different directions. Where right now one would have to take one person in a van that would normally hold 14 people, which is not fuel efficient, and the other one would be using the SUV. So this would, my intention is to use both of these smaller vehicles, getting our our disabled seniors to and from their appointments and all of our local riders, and then using our 14-passenger van as it should for more wellness trips, taking them to and from your Wyndham Tech lunches or to their quilting outing. Or we have so many groups wanting to use the van, and we've had to turn them away because it is used for medical trips to transport 1 or 2 people.
Mr. O'Brien, any thoughts?
I support the going for the green.
I agree.
Right. But so we're applying for the grant, they have to be in by April 2nd, when are you notified? Do you know that?
When will they notify us? As soon as it's, they said it only takes a few weeks to let us know if we are approved. So I'd like to get this in as soon as possible, well before the deadline. If there's any
Okay.
revisions that need to be made, any questions that need to be asked, that kind of thing.
Here's my question, so we don't budget this. If,
They're gonna have to budget money to pay for the balance of the van.
if you let me ask my question,
Yeah.
I'll show you how we're gonna do it. Can we take it out of contingency?
Find how much money you're gonna take out of contingency, because the
12,000.
question I have is, the last time I think we budgeted for the full, amount on the van. Is this a reimbursement or is this, how is this gonna get done?
Does it state in the grant if we have to, come up with the money for it and then they pay us back if we get the grant?
We do not. We do not have to come up with the full amount of the cost of the vehicle. That we would work directly with Mobility Works on where the vehicle is coming from. And they will work directly with the grant. And then when we receive the vehicle, that is when our match is due of the
That's the
13,321.
question. We have to budget that 13,000.
Yes,
Yeah,
because you have to move it out of contingency or the general fund or take it from somewhere else. So you have to,
But even though we can get other grants to lower our costs for salaries and maintenance and other things you mentioned, we still have to come up with that 13,000 to take ownership of the
yeah,
vehicle.
yes.
Correct. But
Yeah, so you'd have to do contingency to do it, because it's not,
It's this year.
Is that happening before July or is that happening after July?
Before.
Or that?
Well,
that would be, yes, this would be before
This year.
the new fiscal year.
Okay, I move to authorize Bernadette Deering to apply for the grant for, the possible purchase of a 2024 accessible vehicle, wheelchair accessible vehicle. All those in favor? Apply for the grant.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, if we
What
have to
else?
do,
Anything else?
continue seeing that we did else.
No, that's all I have for today. Do you have any questions for me?
I should know it now.
Any questions?
The budget shows reductions.
That's for the department.
Right, I mean, they haven't done salary.
No, but the reason the elderly transportation went down is because we paid off the lease of the.
Car.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we don't have that
Sorry,
payment
We don't
anymore.
have that payment anymore.
But we're gonna put, square peg pizza on a new van.
Yeah.
They don't sell me short. We'll find somebody to advertise on it. Okay. We all done with Bernadette? Anything? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Other budget discussions, Mark? That's 6.2.
Not at this time.
That's it. New business. 7.1, discussion regarding speeding on Columbia Road. So, it comes up all the time, but, in the last month, I've got a couple of emails that, kind of question what we're doing about the speeding in town. So I'd like to take this opportunity to address the concerns. I want to talk about some of the things we have done, some of the things we've talked about and evaluated, some of the things that people are suggesting and why we can or cannot do it, and what's in the future. So state police, we have one state trooper for $180,000 a year is what it costs the town of Columbus. If you wanted a second state trooper, it would cost an additional $180,000. The third one actually increased in prices because we're taking numbers, volume away from the 1,200 that the state is supposed to have. So, we're asking our resident state trooper to do more. It's one person, so it's very difficult. I have personally requested that the state police, Troop K, provide additional traffic and speed trap or in the town of Columbia. They keep the money, we get none of it, and we have been denied on a couple of occasions. They need to patrol the highways and everything else, so I understand that. We have in the past talked about adding constables to our one resident trooper force, with the cost being an outlay of $80,000 to $90,000 per constable for one, and cost of probably $60,000 or more for salary per 46, and then you add on workman's comp, vehicle insurance, you add on taxes that we would have to pay, so it's about at least $60,000 per. I have a question out that whoever writes the ticket, would the town of Columbia benefit from that? And we would have to change things in our
Mean ordinance.
ordinance. We would need ordinance to change it where we would have almost a kind of a,
Board of Selectmen would have to be, if you wanted to dispute your ticket, you'd have to come before the board and it'd have to become like a.
we would have to train, we would have to uniform, we would have to get vehicles. Pay workers' comp, which is very expensive.
Insurance.
Liability insurance.
Yeah. So. That's that. We talked about it at the time we talked about it, the board. Chose not to move forward with that.
We also got the rural speeding grant that our previous trooper is
I'm not
working
there
on.
yet.
Okay.
Not there yet. Speed bumps. A number of towns have a road or two with speed bumps on there. We talked to them. They say that they are, in their opinion, worse for the roads, worse for the speeding. If people come off those very lengthy speed bumps, they're not ones that jar your teeth out of your head at the speed they're going. They slow down, and then off the backside of them, they feel that people pick up speed to make up what they lost in the 2 seconds that they've slowed down. We have done things like take out passing zones in areas, Route 66 East down in front of the Main Moose Restaurant down there. We got the state to take out a passing zone. We also had them take out a passing zone on Route 66 up across, Wickford, is it Wickford?
Mhm.
Take that out of there because it's a dangerous area. Reluctantly, it was almost a promise of if an accident happens there due to a passing vehicle, then the state would have some explaining to do, and we would be on the side of the motor vehicles that were involved in those accidents. They decided to paint over the passing zone and make it no passing. We're asking if we can restrict truck size on side streets. I know one of the concerns was trucks that are going not down to the end of 66 and turning left on Route 6. They're cutting through Edgerton Road at 10 o'clock at night, and we're asking if we can put truck restrictions on there. Last week, I had an opportunity to talk to the governor, and at a meeting, one of the things that came out was the state has the ability to allow us to, or municipalities to use cameras. We're looking into that. I will tell you, if I can write tickets via video and not have somebody have to get out of a vehicle, walk up and knock on a window where, I mean, people are driving crazy now, and they're also taking, action that is putting law enforcement people in harm's way for stopping them for a ticket. I can understand why there may be some people who are reluctant to stop speeders. So we are looking into cameras. We're trying to find out, there's a brochure in here for the selectmen to look at, how they can be purchased, where they can be placed, if a municipality
this.
like ours can do that. And I'm all for getting a camera, writing a ticket for them. If they don't pay within 30 days, put a boot on their vehicle until they pay. Maybe they'll slow down. So I tell you these things. And the other thing is, I've been in touch with our resident trooper, who is one, and I asked them to sit on a road during a very busy traffic day, and they came back. They were able to stop 27 vehicles. And they asked if I had any, what I thought of that, and I said, I hope we had 27 tickets. That's how I feel. I get it. Okay, I come down Route 6 and somebody passes me on the shoulder. Last 2 weeks ago, cars in front of me were veering out of the way because it was a wrong way driver on the oncoming line of Route 6. And there's, in the meetings with the governor last week, they talked about safety on the road. And, it's everywhere. I know, it's everywhere. The cost of what it would take, and we're a small town, it's very difficult. We applied for, we got a grant that allows a second state trooper to come into the town and do traffic stops, speed stops. And we're gonna apply for that for the next go round, and so we have that out there. So there are days, there are at least 2. It's not enough. I get it. It's frustrating, and I know you're frustrated, and I'm more frustrated because I sit here and I don't know what else we can do. So I'll open this to first the board, any ideas, thoughts, and then if you've thought enough about complaining about this, And good for you, I get it, I'm happy you said something. But it's not like we haven't done anything. If you've thought enough about talking about this, maybe you have some solutions that I'd like to hear, but from what I've laid out here, if it costs us $250,000 to stop speeders, it's gonna be very difficult to get it through the board and the taxpayers, and you really, will you see any difference? We can't have a state trooper on every road, unfortunately. Board, anything to add or any comments or thoughts?
I know my husband has picked up 2 tickets in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Oh, with the automatic cameras?
In 20-mile-an-hour zone,
Yeah,
so they work.
yeah.
And you just
Tickets
pay 'em.
work, yeah.
And these devices you can put on side streets, because I mean, they said the cherry show is like a major.
I know, we're looking into more, because they just threw that out there to us, it was about 10 or
Last week.
12 different subjects and stuff in a 7-hour meeting, so, you know, there was a lot of questions to be had, but this, we're going about trying to get more information about it, I don't know.
Yeah, because we.
The one I'm talking about in Rhode Island's on the little puny little street out in the middle of nowhere.
I believe me, I paid my share in Washington DC.
Well, I think some of these can be mounted on vehicles. They're being used in work construction zones and they're just sitting there and just picking everybody up as you fly by.
Well, that would be the thing that's moving around.
Right, and I think the state's doing that more in construction zones.
Do we have, I mean, in the past, I've seen on Pine Street, but do we have those signs which will basically tell you what your speed is? And is it worth getting more? That way, there's at least a visual cue with a
So
flashing, so these people are aware, not that it may deter, but.
I talked to the Connecticut Transportation Institute where we got the last 2 signs and said, can we get those fixed? Because somebody ripped the cords out of them. And they said, all right, we'll get you in touch with the repair, how to get them repaired. So I'm looking into that. And then we do have 2 small ones. I'm looking at how to get those deployed and where we want to deploy them. But I'm also going to bring the T2 Center. They work out of the University of Connecticut. They're called like range riders to look at some problem areas in town and get their advice on how we could do traffic calming or alert that you're coming up on a bad curve. I know DOT on our state roads is swamped and we can't. It takes a year to 2 to get a game plan, but we eventually do. But we're losing our patience on that sharp curve by the dam on 87.
That's off the spot, yeah.
Right. But I'm gonna bring them in. If the residents want to email me and tell me where the worst spots are, give me your address. I think we saw each other out on Manic Road one day while we were looking at another site. And I get it, your children are playing out there and they're scaring the heck out of you when you watch people go by at 50.
Yeah, I like the idea of the, taking a picture and sending a ticket, but we need a lot of those.
Or if it's portable, we move it around. Well, fortunately, if they figure out what it is, it'll get destroyed.
It's necessarily about, a payback. I think it's deterrence, right? And to basically,
We just-
try to change behavior. I mean,
Yeah, how do you change
I
behavior?
mean,
Right.
unfortunately, God forbid something drastic happens and someone gets really injured, price is never gonna be, it's frustrating.
It is, cars go too fast on these back roads.
Well, I know certain intersections, we're starting to look into the newer, bigger stop signs or making them a double lollipop red post, just like we did on Weston Pine?
Does that help?
Weston Hunt.
Does that help?
Yeah, because now the stop sign used to hide behind a telephone pole. Now, when you're approaching, you see
You see that-
serious signage popping up.
Coming down West, you have to see it.
Yeah, I think
Up.
it's visible now.
I like it, that's.
There's no such thing as volunteer constables or anything like that, like you have a volunteer.
No, that's the old days. You used to give them a badge and a gun and say, good luck.
We used to back in the 60s, there, volunteer, constabulary, run into all kinds of problems with that.
Yeah, the liability issue now is just huge. It's so hard to be a policeman. Law enforcement's rough.
You just put it on a car, a camera on a car, move it around now.
I asked Mark if I could stand at the side of the road with the hair dryer. It's, you know, aiming it at people to see if they would stop.
That's.
I moved that we authorize the first selectman.
I love that.
That, and what are those, things that go across the road of six. So gentlemen, you see what we're up against. I'd love to hear if you have something else you know about. And not vigilante, believe me, you know, but.
Is there any study in relationship to success with signs? Different stop signs, or
Still gonna play.
put a few signs down there that says, hey, blind driveways. Yeah, that's our problem. Maybe you might retard 50% of the speeders, so they might wake up. Because people are inherently stupid. Okay,
They get comfortable.
they get placed. And they just drive.
Yeah.
They don't pay attention.
And the cars go.
What's the
too
speed
fast.
limit on Old Man Road, by the way?
30.
I didn't ask you.
It's 30.
It's,
I know it's 30. I was debating on it.
Some of the new variable signs actually talk to you now. It says you're going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, slow down.
Slow down temporarily, I'm not sure.
Pavement.
Yeah, vibrating.
Did the state, maybe starting in 2025, when you renew your license, you have to watch a video? It's not serious.
Yeah,
I believe they did. Through DMV.
I haven't heard
When
that.
you get your driver's license. When you renew your driver's license, when you get it, so everyone will have to do it. And it will probably be like, when I worked for a power company, I mean, there was more safety videos than you could shake a stick at. I mean, I probably spent 100 hours a year completing safety videos, answering questions, and so forth. Failure was not an option.
Like, would it be helpful to have some kind of campaign where you just kind of flash it out there constantly? So that, I don't know, some verbiage that's.
Even if you post, I put that on old one.
29 Egerton, big breaks.
And I can count, I think we've had at least 4 or 5 deaths on our road since I've lived here.
where's
And they
that?
were on Old Willoughby.
Oh, and then,
I mean, I could think of,
Old Willoughby, take between Cherry Valley and Cards Mill is one of our fingers. And we live on the crest of the hill where Mark said he saw us and people fly over the crest of that hill.
3 of the deaths were from Old Willoughby from 66. I mean, from 66 cutting through before you got to Cherry Valley.
Our road is used as a cut through, and I know that they proposed wedding venue for Cardinal Mill Road is in court right now, it might not happen, if that goes through, or they're gonna identify it as another road, which is a take to that wedding venue, thus increasing traffic on that road, which is already. And so, on Cardinal, yes. And I know you were studying about the speed bumps isn't necessarily a fix for everywhere, but I do think there might be areas where it should be considered. Again, that crest of that hill, you put one 30 yards away from that crest, that slope go down to that place. And I know the concern with electric vehicles and the increase in those, we're not gonna hear them come.
That's the only we know right now pulling out, and there's no windows down and listen.
Yeah,
There
actually,
are 4 families with 10-year-olds or younger living within 50 yards of that crest. And
And it's torn.
That's where we looked at that property.
Yeah, it's right, it's exactly where you look.
Right.
I don't know what the liability of speed bumps would be. The way the world is today, even though the individual is absolutely wrong, your speed bump made him go airborne.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm wrong, but your speed bump made me go airborne and I got hurt real bad.
There's also,
There's some, you
what
know,
about the pavement that has bridges in it?
Right, the audible,
Rumble pavement.
audible that you're approaching a dangerous area.
here's the problem with that. The people who live there,
You're gonna hear it.
you'll hear. it.
But it's right in his house. No.
Well, we just got a complaint on Jake brakes
it's
too.
getting even harder to do.
Some of these cut throughs like Egerton, they said the Jake brakes are vibrating their house every night.
I've definitely noticed more semis come out of Old Willoughby.
Well, they're trying to cut that one intersection out.
That's not really a road. for-
No, and I'm wondering if we can put no through
Like, no
trucks.
through traffics.
Yeah, I mentioned that. So let's.
The state has-
No.
Well, it has to be approved by the legal traffic. The legal traffic lawyer has to apply for it.
Right.
Can we enforce that? you know.
And without a trooper or somebody down there getting a ticket, how do you enforce it, right?
Right, you can have all you want, but if there's no enforcement behind it, it's a waste of money.
Right.
So,
At least like to see a blind driveway sign at the top of the hill. Old Willow Manor.
okay, we can do local signage.
Maybe in both directions, one to help Frank, because he is blind, coming to the other way.
Fine,
I know,
we
but
can
I-
do local signage.
If I see that, I slow down, you know, I think most people would pay attention to those.
What addresses on Old?
150, 157,
I don't-
53, 55.
yeah, all.
Yeah, it would.
It's just that blind
sandwich
curve.
it. It would sandwich it right there.
Okay,
All right, listen, I appreciate your concern, I get it, and you know. A lot of people don't watch the Zoom of the meetings, and we address the speeding many times, and. I hold the trooper accountable, I don't want 25 warnings, I want 25 tickets. You know, I don't care if it's their neighbor, I want them to know that we mean business, and I kind of want it to hurt a little bit, so they slow down.
I think the last time he was on Old Willamanic Road, I think they were all tickets, but that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I did see it, I'm sure for parked over at the end of Tawanic, right at Cherry Valley and, Wallen and, what, 2 days ago.
So,
That's not a good spot.
Well, and people think that, well, that intersection is difficult, that, you know, stop signs are merely a suggestion over there. Same thing with the new, we thought it was all great when they put the new stop sign at Cards Mill, right at the bottom of Old Willamanic Road. I can't remember the last time I saw somebody stop coming from the other direction.
yeah,
Really?
They don't
People
stop.
don't stop.
I stop at that,
I stop.
Signage is only a suggestion,
yeah. So,
Unless you get a ticket.
No.
unless you get a ticket.
Some of them slow down, but
I have asked for a speed limit for the flashing speed limit signs. I understand they get moved from places in the town. And I have called and asked about getting one of those in that hill,
on where?
over a minute, the hill I'm over.
Where we're talking about this,
Yes.
okay. We'll start working on that.
because that's a pretty good visual concern. I know when I'm driving through a zone and all of a sudden it's flashed up either speed on it.
it wakes you up. It takes you
well,
out.
it makes you go, oh. geez,
Oh,
maybe I
geez.
paid attention.
Plus, you don't know, if somebody driving along doesn't know that that's just a speed flash. They don't know it's not a camera, you know, type of thing.
That's
Yeah,
true.
they just-
A lot of the new cars have, there's a sign that posts the speed.
Mhm.
It shows on you.
Yeah, I have that, when I do, when I, on my
So
trip.
if you don't have a stop of the speed limit sign, you don't know what it is. But I've heard of them.
I do too. Sometimes you'll come out of a side street and there won't be a speed limit sign on Main Street for a while. You go, I don't know what the speed limit is.
Exactly.
It does have it in my, you know,
It
Listen,
makes me aware.
picture.
Is it in your GPS or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's on the dashboard, and as you pass the sign.
if you have the GPS running, so. Gentlemen. we're
Well, I'm not
trying-
gonna buy any vehicle with it.
Did you have any other ideas?
Yeah, just email me.
Yeah. It's just an
A
ongoing.
little bit of signage, maybe cut down 50% of it, but it's difficult.
Okay,
We understand the limitations of troopers not having power for, you know, patrol. But it's been effective when they have been, and somebody mentioned, you know. Well, I think it's where issues it's several times where somebody's literally had it trooper for a day. And it's amazing how much.
yeah,
On bigger roads, I've seen, certain blind areas have giant mirrors put up. Is that something that's homeowners or something?
I think that's homeowners. I don't think the town's doing that.
I gotta get up there and readjust it for Sam and see if I can get, shoot down the hill a little bit, but
Thank you all very much.
yeah, thank you.
Night.
and then the wind will blow it out all back.
Really appreciate the time.
7.2, American Relief Fund closeouts and digital funding. I move to approve the proposed closeout reductions and additions of the listed American Relief Fund project as of February 16, 2024. All funds from the proposed closeout projects will have the balance remaining returned to the American Relief Fund back and will be applied to future projects or projects that need additional funding to complete and or close out the projects. Have a list in here.
I don't think this is it.
Oh, there it is. All right, what are we talking? How much? What are we?
Turn the page.
One more page.
Perfect.
There you go.
Okay, so those are completed, we have balance remaining. So we want to return.
So basically, this is showing that you had extra money left over in the first two completed, and the bottom line showing that they need additional monies to balance out the project. So basically, we're gonna need a net of 5,578.55 that's gonna be taken from the available funds,
Which is page one.
which is about
$22,000.
$22,000, so that'll leave probably a balance of 17,000 once we clean up these projects. So basically, we're gonna close the ones we can close. Because one of the ones that need money is the Public Works office building, and it was short by over 11,500.
That was the alarm system we had to put in, fire alarm system.
We didn't know that was coming.
It wasn't put in the
It
original.
was in the original estimate.
And plus there was furniture and stuff that wasn't anticipated either, so it's a combination of a few things in there.
Okay, so I move to approve, so I did that, so we're all set. All those in favor, questions, discussion, all those in
Where
favor.
did we have to spend the money?
It has to be all
Appropriated by the end of the year.
appropriated by end of this year, spent by the end of next year.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, thank you. Nothing for the late appointments. Mary Kay Hayman, Board Clerk, completion of 6 months probation. Oh, I move to remove Mary Kay Hayman from the 6-month probation and place her as a permanent employee. She's the Board Clerk for zoning.
For the building department, for, yeah, zoning and wetlands.
All
And,
those in favor?
yeah,
Aye. Opposed, thank you. Appointment of Anika. I move to appoint Anika Friesen as interim rec director. So we are interviewing this Thursday for rec directors. She has not submitted, correct? Anika did not submit?
no, she did not.
Okay, so we're gonna just appoint her interim, if you agree, right now until we hire somebody.
She asked us to do.
No,
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Town administrator.
just so you're aware, I know, this has been a big item in the news, but right now, because Camp Laurel has a dam, which they own. Right now, our Senator Austin is trying to get the state to buy Camp Laurel, which could be very close to Monopond State Park, correct? Yeah, and it's, I think Ann actually taught at Camp Laurel, didn't you? When
Yes.
when you were younger? Right, so the state is looking to buy Camp Laurel, and I just thought you should be aware of
When I
that.
was younger, I actually attended Camp Laurel.
Is that on Clubhouse Road?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Before it was a Girl Scout camp.
No.
Oh.
When it was a Girl Scout camp. Just followed that a week. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So the question is, so the state is looking to buy.
Right.
So there's nothing we have to do.
No,
about
it's just information for you. And then I just want everybody aware, this came up quick. Friends of Monopond have applied for a grant for invasive weed control through the state, and hoping the state would actually want to improve the water quality of Monopond, which is now part of this, always was part of the state park, but
And what are they proposing to use to control the?
I don't know.
It's pretty,
Lisa asked what they would use to control it. And right now it's a 50,000. Well, no, total 50, but
It's also, but there are different methods. But they were kind of interested in, it's a underwater moment. So, yeah.
a harvester. But this grant would conduct an upgrade study decide what are the best reduction methods, contract for reduction services, modify reduction activities as needed, develop a final report and design signage and develop an educational article on what they do.
No poison.
I don't know. Last we looked at it, it's pretty bad, so I don't know if a harvester alone.
We have a pretty conscious group.
I don't know.
I know I've worked with other lakes.
One thing. But often doesn't have good results. Just think,
Okay. And there is an in-kind, Friends of Monopond think they can handle that with volunteers. I'll monitor if we are awarded the grant.
There were some articles in the Chronicle, I guess they're copied in here, read for yourselves. Transfers, I move to approve the transfers of the event totaling $13,466. That's a lot of transfers. I was contingent too, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I looked at those.
I have a question about Mary Quick's email here regarding the two the Stony Road E. coli tests.
Oh, those were, I believe they were not part of the budget. It was a optional component of the agreement last year, and they decided to do additional testing of the stormwater drains.
I don't know probably testing, I'm just curious as the chief talks about the fact that the E. coli test for the stormwater drain number 4 at 2 or Donny Road, it recorded quote off the charts high for phosphorus and nitrogen during the October 2023 testing. We probably have talked about this, but what's the source of that? If you know, so
that's
Yeah.
where the test.
They're gonna try to find that out in the next round of testing. And then what we're gonna authorize another round of testing, and then if it tests for E. coli or something, then the health department gets involved. And they'll be in charge in the state of determining what's happening,
Where it's coming from.
right?
So we really don't have a way of finding out or figuring out where.
This is how you figure it out.
Yeah.
You actually test the source,
We test it and then we.
right?
that stuff that's on the road.
So that was the $5,130 and $7,500 for cover the unbudgeted cost to repair the well, oh yeah, the well pump went without water for a couple of days.
Right.
$7,500, please staff. They put in
Yeah, new pump, and we had also put in a new water tank in the
Yeah.
building. So it's a new water tank and a pump.
Okay,
yeah,
I was thinking the same, but that's expensive per pump, but not.
And it's also emergency. It wasn't like, oh, get to us in 2 months when you can schedule us. It was the next day.
Not having water is always an emergency.
Well, and this is a municipal public building too, so we couldn't wait a long time. And he responded immediately.
I can't wait.
Oh,
Was that earlier?
yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, just recently?
Yeah, we all had to use the annex, the
Yeah,
whole
'cause I know you've had problems
library
in
and
the past,
everything.
back in
That-
November.
Bev was
Go
very,
in my house.
It's
It's
a
an
problem.
emergency. You turn on the, we're so.
Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor of paying transfers?
Aye.
Opposed, contrary. No refunds, actually. I move to approve the payment of bills totaling $138,060.92, consisting of 23-24 emergency, 23-24 regular credit card and paycheck.
May I ask what P M work is that?
preventive maintenance.
Okay, I wasn't sure that was afternoon.
No,
No,
they only work in the afternoon, yeah.
Well, I'm thinking more evening after hours.
No, they can come into their quarterlies and all that.
Understood. Don't be smart.
Any discussion? Keep looking.
You're on camera. We're losing Jen. We gotta hurry up this meeting.
Sorry.
Good, any discussion? Nobody? All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Thank you, don't go anywhere, we're running signature here.
That's it. Give it to Bev now. Save it.
The H.
Crickets.
So I ended up contacting the state last week, because there was a rumor that Columbia had been awarded. It was a bad rumor.
Ah,
Somebody listened to somebody that shouldn't have listened to the person, and so I ended up contacting the state, and they said the earliest they're gonna get any announcements after going through 130 applications is maybe mid-April. Not before.
And what's that on the state?
HVAC.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Okay. Audience of citizen. Before you reply, please state your name and address and then say no. Just TV. Okay, board member comments? Hearing none.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
two questions. So are we probably gonna have to meet next week because we only have like one or two more meetings before we have to vote on the budget, right? We haven't gotten updates from the library and seeing the salaries.
No, I never asked them. That was on my to-do list.
I asked them I gave them an update on the health insurance, and they said they'd look at it, but they've not responded.
Okay, so the library,
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even really started.
do you want to do, payroll next week?
We're gonna have to, huh?
Or we could do it tonight, but,
I'll do it tonight.
okay. It's getting late.
And I also just wanted to ask some, curious to learn more about, how we've been doing with that sustainable Connecticut and that whole program and whatnot. Once we're like through the budget, whatever like that, can we maybe just kind of learn more about how the town's progressed in that program and what we look to see in the future as far as programs? I mean, I know when it first came out before COVID, I was invited as part of a board of ed, and honestly, I kind of lost track because I don't think it really.
Yeah, we
Junior,
were,
but
we were
something-
bronze, we were bronze at one time.
But we never, COVID hit, we didn't complete, we have enough to get bronze if they still count.
But
from
there's a
it's
meeting
all
next week.
February 29th, 6 o'clock, pizza and restarting sustainability. If
They
you,
probably picked the
Not from Sparta, I think.
most, interesting speaker to come and see us the first night. We're riding that thing up again. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if I can attend, I will, but I think it would be interesting sometime in the near term. I know we're in the budget season to maybe learn more about how we envision moving.
yeah, I think our first speaker should have been, really a refresher about the whole thing and where we stand, not dialed in on one topic.
Well, no, it's Ace Riker's gonna be coming to talk about the optimize for equity. But it's also, that's just kind of kicking it off, but we're also going to be talking about, and hopefully people who are interested and who want to volunteer will be able to attend, and we'll talk about the program and how it runs and see what kind of interest we get. Problem is when we started this and when the pandemic hit, we lost what little volunteers we had.
and we didn't have enough. The two groups that accomplished something was the farmer's market, which we did get a farmer's market started over at the winery. And then that didn't survive. And we got the Arts Council at the senior center, which has exploded into a big success. So those two groups in sustainability did an open space and it's
I
always,
thought we did, well with the plastic bag.
we did, and then COVID hit and we never got our bench. After I lugged all those plastic bags to the firehouse. And we finally got rid of them all.
Yeah, so I mean, however, I mean, you want to, like, be
Okay.
interesting to see, what our thoughts are moving forward.
We are going to have it, Zoom meeting, so if people want to join by Zoom, they can, and it will also be recorded. So, you'll be able to look and see listen to what we discussed.
But you'll have.
But the optimize for equity is the hardest part of sustainable CT, and it has to be driven by the community.
It can't be
It can't
something,
driven by,
Called part of that.
So,
yes,
so it's not some statute or law that we're trying to comply with, it's all part of the community-based kinds.
right,
Now, how are you advertising, just to make sure people know about it?
it's been in the newsletter, it's been on Facebook, it's been on the website.
Amanda Green.
in another month, text my
Yeah,
gov.
put it out, I can put the sign
Not
on the
really.
green. We've been working with the people from Code, the Coalition on Diversity and Equity. And they've been working on getting the word out and also, trying to get some volunteers. So they've been somewhat successful with that.
It's hard to advertise.
We've got the school, put it in there, right?
Anything else? Right, so at this time, I'd like to suspend the Board of Selectmen meeting and move into executive session at 8:47 PM and invite Mark Walter, Town Administrator, and General Boyd, Executive Administrative Assistant, to join us.
Get the night off. Thank you, Beverly.
Good about this, Bev, we're not talking about you, we have to invite you instead.
Whatever.
I'll do these in the morning.
All right, I have enough time to keep me busy, but.
Okay, we're going to come out of executive session and resume the Board of Selectmen meeting at 9:10.
9:10.
And at this time, I move to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Hold on.
We'll say 9:11.